Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
Welcome to the Rock and Review. We're thrilled to have on a world-renowned photographer and author that has a brand new book, Tracy Hart. Thanks for coming on the Rock and Review.
Well, you're very welcome, Eric. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so glad we got to meet up with your new book that recently came out and is available everywhere. Seeing Stevie Ray, and and some people look at it. There it is.
That's the book. That's it.
For those of the viewers that don't know, Stevie Ray Vaughan is a world-class blues musician, and you had the great fortune as a photographer to shoot pictures of him from 1983 to 1990.
Yes, I did. I'm very blessed to have done that. I'm always grateful to Stevie, and I'm just sorry it took me so long to start photographing him. Because he'd been playing for years by then, and for many years professionally, and actually had formed Double Trouble several years before that.
Right.
So yeah, I actually got in kind of late, but I got in.
Well, I'll tell you what, you certainly made the most of it, because I recognize so many of your photos within the book, Tracy, that have been used, with Sony on CDs and on billboards and in print ads. So many iconic, and also the many magazines. In fact, I became aware of you by reading an article in Vintage Guitar magazine, but you've also featured in Premier Guitar and in Guitar Player, so many magazines and European magazines. You've had a lot of photographs, use your photography all over the world in so many cases.
Yes, I've been very lucky with that. The reason for that, besides the other guys that I shoot who are also extremely popular, Stevie's popularity went way beyond Texas. As a matter of fact, his first album, Texas Flood, went gold in I think in Germany, Canada, and Australia before it did in the United States. And I do hear from people in those places all the time about how much they love Stevie, and they can get the book as well. So,
well, I want to bring up a few things about your book that I found unique, Tracy, is that it's not your typical guitar, blues. It's such great photography, and you catch the emotions, but the book starts out with 3 forwards by different guitar players. And what I found so interesting about your book is that it sort of goes from the influences, people who influenced Stevie Ray Vaughan, then to the Stevie Ray Vaughan images you shot, and then to the people that he influenced musically afterwards. It's a very unique take with your book.
Well, thank you. I thought it kind of flowed that way. And I think it's important, to know where Stevie came from. And, of course, there are people who aren't in the book because I was a little too young to have gotten to photograph Jimi Hendrix, which, I'll always regret, of course. But, it just seemed like the way to do it. And with the 3 forwards, what I wanted to do was get Eric Tesmer, who's an up-and-coming younger player in Austin, David Grissom, who of course is very famous and a contemporary of Stevie's, but not anything alike in styles or so on. And then the last one with Nolly Colt from Vintage Trouble. He's from Sweden. He lives in the United States now, of course, but I wanted to get a view from someone who was not in the country, and here's this expatriate who discovered Stevie when he was in Sweden by way of David Bowie. So,
wow.
Like that, yeah.
Well, yeah, and as you mentioned, from Stevie's time with David Bowie, playing on that tour and on the album, I wanted to bring up for our viewers that may not realize this, that you are a second-generation photographer, and that you learned it from one of the best in the business, right?
I am indeed. My dad, Leonard M. Hart, he was a very well-known photographer in the medical field, and he invented methods for photographing the inner eye and stuff like that. But he just loved cameras and he loved photography. It's just like a guitar player having a dad who's a guitar player. You know, this
Right.
stuff is around the house and so on, and discussed, and there you go.
Well, and I thought it was incredible too, Tracy, that you dedicated this book to your mother and father in the beginning of the book, and what a great tribute showing some of your photography. Because you know what always has impressed me with your work, and obviously, as we mentioned, it's been featured and you know on exhibits and auctions and everything, is that you have an eye for capturing the moment with a musician, just like the shots that you have within the book of Buddy Guy and of Jimmy Vaughan and so many other artists within there besides Stevie Ray. And just an incredible eye for catching the passion with the guitar and with the music.
Well, thank you. I really love guitar, and I really don't play, but I wish I could. So that's a passion as well, as is music. And it's, you know, when the music is that good, it makes my job easy, you know. And Stevie in particular was extremely visual. So
Right.
there's that too.
How did you first meet him, Tracy, to begin this photographic journey that you took on?
Well, I first met him in March of 1983. This was at a club called Fitzgerald's in Houston, where he'd been playing gigs for years, you know, for two times or three times a month. And what happened was I was working for an indie new wave newspaper in town, and they said, well, hey, this guy is going to play with David Bowie, or he is playing with David Bowie on Bowie's album Let's Dance. So we should go and have you and a writer or two go and check him out. And that's how I met him.
Wow. And that is what began the journey of taking all of those great images of him then, just in that one, gig that you had to follow up on.
Right, yes. And, you know, so I kind of owe David Bowie for that. Yeah, so, and the first images in the book, most of them are from that first show. It was actually a two-night stand.
Well, and I wanted to bring up, too, as we were talking before the interview started, Tracy, that you are still a very busy photographer as well, still doing shows, and that your book is available at Parnassus bookstore
Yes.
here in Nashville, but obviously online everywhere you buy books. But also I want to make sure that our viewers know your website. So
okay.
to check out, your photos and things that you have for sale as well.
Well, that would be great, yes. It's theheightsgallery.com, and that's it's a neighborhood in Houston, the Heights. It's HEIGHT gallery.com, but it's The Heights Gallery.
Congratulations on your brand new book, Seeing Stevie Ray. What a great book, and I certainly suggest that our viewers, if you're looking for something concerning the blues icon, Stevie Ray, go pick up this book, order it. You can get it locally. There's what it looks like.
There's the book.
Yeah, Tracy Hart, thank you so much for joining the Rock and Review and sharing your book and your artwork photography with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.